I think we're gonna get a
I'll
get a
send it into.
link.
I'll send it through the party as well. But I can. I'd have to tell you my name, which I can, but I mean it's a unique name. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Hang on. Do you have Absol on Discord? I'm sure, Chandras. Can you just send him the link when I send it in Discord real now, right quick? Thank you. Yeah, Discord's been super fucking buggy lately. I don't know why, but it pisses me off.
Yeah.
Can I really not fucking paste something in our party? That's so obnoxious. Don't make me write this out. Oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but... Yeah, I am not technologically savvy, so this is the best I got.
This pen does not like me. It's running out in the middle. God damn it.
What? No. No, I started a new one. That one was a test one.
Mm.
Okay. Okay, this should be accurate. Hang on. Okay, awesome. So I sent it to you guys in Discord and through the party chat. Hopefully y'all got that. Both links should work, and then John just sent that to Absol, so hopefully you have that as well, Absol.
Oh, yes, it did work. Hold on. Okay, if I do
Wait,
that...
where?
Do that.
It's both. It's in
Oh, I'll
Discord
find
and
it.
in the party, depending on where you would like to watch it.
I'll
Let's
watch it
use
on my
you.
laptop.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm using my laptop as well.
You do whatever you want.
Unfortunately, my laptop's being cunts.
Hold on, give me a sec. I just gotta close off something I'm gonna do.
Yeah, for sure. Let me go ahead and set it up. There is also a small delay. It's only a few seconds, but it's fine. Most of the time I'm just pausing it over things, so y'all won't have to like keep up really live too much.
No, that was... No!
Suck my big peepee.
What the hell? Oh no,
Yes.
no, my fucking laptop's freezing on me. You fuck! I'm not here.
Yep.
Awesome. That's totally fine.
Nope.
Wait, so is Strawberry gonna be talking in the party, or she's just gonna be talking for the stream?
I'm going to talk in the party, so if you can hear me through the stream, just mute it. You don't need to hear things in the actual gameplay.
Okay.
Oh, you can hear me in Guy's voice. Wait,
Yeah,
hold
I
up.
can hear myself, and I'm gonna need everyone who has their stuff, has their party chat unmuted to mute me, because I don't want to have to hear myself twice. Just listen to my
I
voice
have
in the
earphones.
party.
Echo. Hello.
Everyone's in? Awesome. Okay, to start, this is specifically okay. Whoever's not muted right now, I need you to mute yourself. To start, Mantis, honey.
I'm muted.
Thank you.
Right, strawberry? Yeah.
Is it not Mantis then? It is Mantis. It's okay. It's okay. Sorry, I don't want to hear myself talk. Yeah, it's terrible.
Please don't scream.
Okay, are we good? Awesome. So I have a few things to say real quick to those of you that are in. Obviously, those of you who are not in, you'll get the special attention at a later date. I'm sure I will go over another VOD for you guys, and everyone else will get their chance to be roasted. But I do have a little message for each individual person that I've crafted myself. So, Jondris, you're up first. You don't have to write it down. I mean, you can, but it's just a little thing to focus on for each person. So basically, what I want to say is, when you are feeling good about yourself, watching you obviously here, and because I've known you for a while, watching your gameplay, I think that you're a force to be reckoned with when you are feeling good, right? You make great plays as Ryan. I've seen you big dick enemy Ryans that have been playing Ryan a lot longer than you, so you have it in you, and it's awesome to see. I do think that and I think this stems from maybe a lack of confidence, but there are times where you panic or you play a little bit too passive, and that's when you make mistakes, right? So, we really, again, like the whole point of this and going over like your mistakes or, things that we adjust, it's just to kind of like give you that knowledge so that you can be more confident in the future and obviously, cut down on those things and, be that force I know you can be. Okay? Awesome. Mantis. And I'm sure that this comes from your very heavy McCree background. It doesn't surprise me. But I can tell that whenever you're playing off tank here, that you're putting a lot of thought into peeling and watching out for off angles, both when you're playing Sigma and Zarya, which I really appreciate because I was an off tank, an off tank main originally, and I really appreciate people that do pay attention to their backline and peel and stuff, which is great. You really make it difficult for the enemy to flank you guys. I think that just if we can help you improve upon like your execution with your ults or just applying damage in the right areas, that you'll be able to both protect your backline and support your front line a little bit more and be really oppressive. Because sometimes, like you focus a little bit too much on one thing and the other thing kind of suffers more, right? So I just kind of want to find that balance for you. Okay. AJ isn't here, but he's going to watch us later, so I'm going to just talk to AJ right now. AJ, you're such a team player, man. Anytime I hear you talk in and out of the game, you're always looking for ways to bring us together as a team and provide value, from your own play. But sometimes this means that you play a little bit too passive, or you make what I would consider poor positioning choices. And I think that, you're just trying to maximize your value, but because of these decisions, you get a little zoned out. So, here I am gonna give you, I am gonna get on you a little bit specifically throughout a lot of this, because I do think that your positioning could use some work. But once you get that done, I know you can hit those shots and you'll be able to, again, maximize that value like you're looking for. All right. Ariana, you are so flexible. You play all three roles at honestly a pretty consistent level. Clearly, you're a beast on Rhine. I know you play support. You obviously can't in tier 3, but I know you kill that. DPS is obviously a whole different beast. My weakest role is DPS. I don't play that a whole lot, and so I know I have to try to I have to get used to that play style, right? And I think that you make big plays, but sometimes they cost you in terms of your life, right? And I feel like once you're a bit more familiar with the play style and the kits that you're using, that you're just going to be unstoppable on DPS as well. So I'm excited to see that journey for you. Kirby, you here?
Yep.
Awesome. I have a lot to say about you. Just
All
because
good, I expect.
just because, again, I used to help out with tier 3, and I've seen you and system and everyone on tier 3 play quite a lot, so I'm very familiar with your play style. But I've always thought that you were a very active support, which I love, right? It really bothers me when supports are just heal bots, right? And you are anything but, my man. You really look for opportunities to not only heal but to provide utility and damage, which is great. But I do feel like we can tweak your positioning and timing a bit so you come out of those fights alive more often, because you do tend to get picked trying to make these big plays, and we can find that middle ground again, right? If you're alive more often, I know you have the comms to really give the team more structure and to help lead fights in the right direction. So I just want to make sure that you're staying up and that you can put out the damage and the heals consistently, right? Um, and then Go's also not here. Oh, go ahead. Go.
I probably play a little bit too, like on Lucio specifically, I probably
Yeah.
play a little bit too Reddit Lucio-y.
Yeah, you're definitely aggressive, which again I like. I like that you're like pushing with the team really hard. But we just got to find that balance, right? Like where you're pushing but not feeding, and it's a fine line, but we'll get there. Okay, so Go. I know you're not here. I'm going to talk to you anyway, though. Your healing, your damage boost is really good. Obviously on Mercy, but just in general, I think that you prioritize, who needs healing. Well, a lot of times healers will just tunnel in on tanks, or they'll just focus on DPS. But you really make an effort to look at everyone, and you look at your other healer a lot, which is super important. A lot of healers don't ever look at their other healer, and it, can really cost things. So I think you do really well with that. Sometimes though, I see you panic, and you either use like an ult you don't need, or you tunnel in on a decision. And I think that if you put a bit more effort into like your awareness, your ult tracking a bit, that you wouldn't be caught off guard so much, and you'd be like that annoying main support that like every enemy hates, right? Because they never die and they keep everyone up. So those are the things that I kind of want you guys to look at, specifically those of you who are in, to look at it this VOD, and like the things that I'm telling you and how you can adjust that to, to kind of tweak and fix those things that I mentioned, okay? And also obviously still capitalizing on the strengths that you already have. I know a lot of times in these VODs I don't mention the positives enough. If something's typically right, I'll be like, oh, awesome job, you made a play here, but I'm not going to be able to catch everything for sake of time. So just know that I do note the positive things you guys do, but I'm obviously here to also tweak the negative as well. So getting into this, I just want to go over our comp and what that means for our positioning. What can we do to maximize our value here? So just looking at our comp and our positioning right now, right? Obviously both teams are kind of running a sort of brawl hybrid, which is fine. I love that. In terms of positioning right now, I like some things and I don't like some things. I think that like our Rhine is good right here. I think our Lucio's good right here. You are a little up there, Kirby, but I can tell, and I see it a little bit later. Like you're trying to get aggressive so you can like boof Rhine in, right, and do that, and you're still with your Rhine, which I like. You're not in like a bad position at all. Jondros, you're holding the front line, which is good. Mantis, I don't hate this, but I think that it could be better. You do push up a little bit later, but again, you guys got to point first, which right, because you have the Lucio speed, which means that y'all have a bit more time to really take the positions that you need to. I'd like to see you play a little bit closer, because like where you're at right now, I'm not super familiar with Sigma's kit, but I'm pretty sure your orbs aren't gonna quite go this far, and if they are, they're like barely touching Rhine's shield, right? So I'd like to see you play closer. You can play on that right side, right, and like pay attention to to help your Rhine, and also work on the off angle up top. But you could also play on the left side as well, right, where you can keep helping your Rhine with the shield, and you can also spam these corridors, which is going to be super important, as we see McCree's already kind of going in here, right? Go similar. I think that your positioning's okay, but I don't really think that you're helping anyone here, right? Like right now, I'd like to see you closer to Rhine so you can just heal, and kind of be out of line of sight a bit. The DPS specifically, this is really what I want to adjust right here. I wish that you, Ariana, as Junk, I think that you should be where AJ is right now, right? you should be kind of holding this area so you can spam shield like you've been doing. Right now you're reloading, so that's why you're kind of way back there, and you do in a second kind of come over here, and you do take this area right here where I want you to. I just want you to do it a little bit faster, right? Already be in that position so that they're already too scared to like push into these things, because right now you guys have point control, right? Like you came in super strong, you have the speed, and like this is your space. I can't draw like I used to on my other VODs, obviously, but this whole point right now, just consider it red in terms of your space, right? And their space that they've taken right now is blue, and it's kind of like this long like rectangular path. And again, like your goal obviously is to make them work to take this space from you. However, right now high ground and this mini right here are pretty much uncontested. I consider that gray. And you, if you're not going to take those areas, you want to at least make sure that the enemy can't take them easily. And I think what Junkrat does really well, right, is that he breaks shield, of course, and helps his front line, but he also closes down these side corridors and makes sure that they can't come in, because the McCree's going to come in for free here. And he does happen to actually back up for whatever reason, because I don't know, he's a tier 3 McCree and doesn't know better. But like here, if this McCree actually kind of comes in for free, like he can stand here with the Mercy Pocket and instantly kill like Goat, right? Which is why Goat, I don't like your positioning here, because you're just kind of out in the open. Same thing with AJ, like he could come and just like roll and flash fan AJ, right? So we don't want to give McCree that off angle. If you're just, even if you're just like, you're spamming shield and then you have a trap in here, you occasionally spam this way, that McCree's going to have a much harder time pushing through, and you deny that off angle to the enemy so they can't collapse on you guys. Because where Brawl struggles is whenever the enemy can create off angles on y'all and forces y'all to not be a cohesive unit, right? Because people are looking away, you're forced to look away from the front line and stop helping your Rhine. So that's what I would adjust for you, AJ. Oh, my sweet AJ. I hate this. Just so everyone knows, and I'm gonna look through AJ's eyes. Like, what's the only thing that AJ could shoot right now? Any takers? Yeah, y'all can answer if you want. Yeah, Rhine Shield. There you go. So the only thing that AJ is shooting right now is Rhine Shield, which is like, Shield Break's fine, right? Like, Shield Break is great and all. But a soldier's not really the hero you'd go to for shield break. Like, if you have nothing else to do, that's fine, but you want to put yourself in a position where you have choices, right? Here you're just blocked by shield, and Rhine doesn't have to turn to block any damage, because like, I mean, Insane right now knows, like, he's trying to come through choke, right? But he knows like all of the damage is going to come on him. So if y'all are all just focusing that, like, you're going to break shield eventually, but you're not really creating any sort of value anyway, and that gives, like, again, like I said, McCree time to come in through here. Or if they did have someone to contest high ground, it gives them time to come up here. So what I'd rather you do, and again, like I mentioned, you wanting to have value, AJ, I feel like why you always put yourself on point behind Rhine is because, like, you don't want to be away from the fight for too long, right? I can tell, like, you're always behind Rhine, you're trying to be that team player, but you're okay to take a couple of seconds to reposition, into a better spot. So what I'd really like to see you do whenever our team comes, especially because you have speed boost, is to come up to this high ground, right? Because if you think about it, like, I mean, this is just like a playground for hit scan, and take this high ground and really, take this off angle aggressively, especially because they have no one up here. If they did have someone up there, you can push them off, or you could run if you get into hell and into danger. So it's not a big deal. Your team's right there. But then, like, if you hold here, like, you're shooting Rhine Shield, yes, but you can also see those supports in the back, right? Which means you can start peppering them and just kind of pressuring them a little bit. And then Ryan's kind of forced to, like, focus on you a little bit as well. Or you could you could start being a little bit aggressive as their team starts pushing, and you can, like, hold right here. I wouldn't push up, right, because their team's right here and you don't want the Zarya to laser you. But I mean, I'm sure we've all seen, like, hit scan at various points on this map, like, hold, like, kind of like this staircase and just shoot from this side. And the reason why this works and why it's good to do that is because you're being aggressive but being safe, but you can start pressuring them again from that off angle, and this is why it's so good. I talked about this a little bit whenever I did that King's Row VOD, and I'll talk about it again. Off angles are everything, especially against Brawl. If you start shooting Rhine's back right here, Rhine has to look at you, right? And if Ryan has to shield this side, it means he's not completely shielding this side. And it means that he's also not like hammering your Ryan, right? Which means your Ryan is a little bit freer. It also means that like Zarya's going to notice, and Zarya might like start coming over, and she might like break off from the front line. If you start shooting like the supports from this side, then the supports either have to focus on healing each other, and not healing their front line, right? Or they ignore you and they die. So, I mean, right here is just such a strong point for you, and it just really needs to happen. You know, give yourself those choices and those opportunities to distract the enemy and get picks, right? Okay, so that's my spiel on positioning to start with. Okay, so we do, Ariana does come over though, right? She does come over to the side, which is awesome. I'm so glad that she took this. And we get that pick on McCree, and we also deny the res here, right? Which is huge. However, because of the positioning thing, I'm backing it up, so don't freak out. Because of our positioning here, the whole time Tracer has been out of the fight, if you guys have noticed. She's been in the back line flanking. She took the time to flank, and that's why they're being so passive, by the way. That's why they're not pushing yet, because they know that their Tracer's getting into position, and they're giving her that time. That's why it's okay for you guys to position as long as everyone's on the same page. So, like, if you do need those seconds to reposition, if you're a DPS, if you're an Ana and you need a better sightline or whatever the case is, just say that, right? Just say, guys, don't push yet, don't push hard, play safe, give me 4 seconds. And that does 2 things. A, it means that they're not feeding a 5v6, right, while you're repositioning. And B, it means that everyone's on the same page and knows that, okay, in 4 seconds, we're all going to be ready and we can push, right? And then we can be aggressive. We can, like, make something happen. Okay, so all of it is just, like, comms and being patient and getting those opportunities. But notice, like, Tracer comes up, and because, again, we have several squishies just kind of sitting here, it's very easy for her to come in, and she just kind of picks off AJ from the back. You know, we don't heal him quick enough. He'd already used his cooldown, which was unfortunate, and you know, he made it really easy for himself to get picked there. So we do get a great pick, and we do deny the res, and that's really important. I think that's, you know, a big reason why, you know, we're still successful in this. But, you know, we shouldn't have gotten picked there, right? Okay, second thing I'll say, and this is on our front line, and I think on our Lucio a little bit, so you guys can listen to this, but we picked McCree, right? We stopped the res, okay? We didn't get the pick on the Mercy, but that's okay. Then we get a pick on the Tracer. That means they have no DPS. I'm going to say this a lot. They have no DPS. They cannot touch you. Ryan the only really thing that they can do to you right now to get a pick is like a random charge, which just means, Jandris, you need to be prepared to, you know, you need to hold your charge to counter it, right, if you're going to aggress. But the reason why you pick Lucio here, why you pick Lucio in general, is so you can stagger kills and you can push them, right? So you can get aggressive and back away if you need to. So the moment that we get this pick on Tracer, knowing that we've already killed McCree, that's you guys' cue to push. You just fucking hard push. Instead, we kind of back up. Like, you see both of our tanks are just kind of holding on point, and they just kind of back up. And we just kind of wait it out, and I'll show y'all in a second, but we just kind of wait it out and focus on taking the point, and we don't stagger these kills. There's only 4 of them right now, and both of their DPS are gone. There's no reason for you guys to not push this. Leave Moira on point and let Moira take it, and you guys should push up. And either our front line or our Lucio can call that. Both of you guys need to be aware that you're looking for those opportunities where you can utilize speed and push into them. Because instead, you notice how we got a pick and we back up, and that to me is weird, right? Like, I don't know why we would get 2 picks and we'd back up. So that's why Zarya starts pushing up, right? Because she's like, oh, they're not going to pressure me, so I'm just gonna keep pushing them. Same thing with Insane. They should not feel this comfortable staying here and pushing you guys after having lost 2 DPS. It should not happen. They should be scared right now, and they're not. And so that's an issue. We got to fix that. Same thing here. Ariana gets a great pick off of Ana, which is huge. And now we start pushing. But by this point, their DPS are back. And, you know, we see McCree and we're scared of that. So I do think, Jandris, you made the right decision here. we started pushing and getting aggressive, right? Because we got point. And the moment we see McCree, we're like, okay, it's not worth it. You know, they've already kind of come back. You know, we're not going to feed anymore, and we back up. And I think that was the right call. However, I think that we could have been faster right whenever we got that tracer pick and realized that that was an opportunity for us, and we could have sped on them and killed them here, right? And just cleaned up those 3 kills right now, especially with them losing Ana, and then their McCree and their Tracer would get back, but their team would be down. And so that would be like another 10 to 15 second stagger, right? And that's super important when you're playing Brawl. So just something to think about. Whenever you're playing Brawl or Dive, like you really have to be on your toes and ready to adjust at a moment's notice. Okay. Here I have another issue. So I thought that we were doing a good job, right? Like our Rhine was up here, kind of blocking this path with Insane, right? Which is good. And Mantis and Ariana were taking this left side and really making it difficult for, you know, them to take this off angle on us and push us, right? So y'all were doing a really great job there, especially because if you notice, AJ found the high ground and he came over here and he has this great sight line right here. So when they start coming up, like they have to focus on him, right? Because if Jandros, if you're still holding here, and you're blocking this run and making it difficult for him, AJ can just like pressure shield and just shoot into them, and then the moment like the Rhine starts trying to push up, like he can just like see their entire backline, right? Instead, you kind of back up. Both of our tanks do. Part of it I think is y'all weren't really letting your shields rest. For Sigma, it makes more sense a little bit because he's been fighting Zarya over here, so he's just kind of starting to struggle. But for Ryan, your shield was fine for most of this, and it got a little bit towards half, you know, around here, and then you just completely backed up to point behind your team, right? I know we already talked about this, but this is also for my other Ryans. You know, so don't back up. Hold this corner right here. And even if, like, if they're not there yet, like, they don't really have someone to break your shield besides McCree or, like, Zarya. So if they're not there yet, you don't need to hold shield, you know? You don't need to peek this, really. Just hold this corner really strong, and when Insane kind of gets to right here, that's when you start swinging around the corner, right? You just start swinging around the corner, and if your shield does get low or you do need a little bit help, you can back up into this corner real quick and just start recharging things, and then you can come back out to the corner and just be strong. Instead, we give them the space for free, and I'll use that term a lot. If you're going to give up space, and you'll inevitably have to, right? Because that's the name of the game. But if you're going to give up space, do not let them have it for free. Make them work for it. Make them use cooldowns for it, right? Because those are cooldowns they're not going to bring into the fight and onto the point. Cooldowns that you guys will have. So don't give up space for free. Instead, we back up, right? And we back up onto point. Now, the second mistake, and Jandros, I love you, but the second mistake is I think that you realized that you'd been too passive. This is when you realize, like, okay, I should start fighting them. I have full shield. I should get back out there. But at that point, because we had, you know, both tanks had kind of let them in from both sides, they have, you see, like, they have these off angles on you. Like, the Rhine and the Zarya are pinching you right now. So what you needed to do is actually just hold point, right? Do what you did on the first point, because you played the first point so well. You played right here, right by choke, and you just held this choke definitively. Similar to how I wanted you to hold this choke. But once you guys are pushed back, now you just hold point. You just hold point strong, right? Like you hold this choke in, and then everyone else knows where they need to be, and can, you know, start minimizing off angles again on these sides. And we already have someone on high ground, which is great. Instead, I think you panic a little bit, and you're like, oh shit, I don't want to give up that much space, right? And so you come back out, and he just gets a really great pin on you, and it's unfortunate, right? So if you're gonna, if you do back up and give them space, just accept that it's over. You've already given them that space, and don't try to force it, right? So yeah, I mean, we lose both tanks, and that's just kind of it. There's not much to say about the rest of it. When you lose both tanks, it's typically the end of the fight, right? They do use Valk though, and Shatter, and Pulse Bomb. Yeah, which is great. They use three ults to take that though, which is awesome for you guys. So still you managed to force them to do that. couple things I want to say before we get into this fight. This fight's a doozy. A, when we start walking up, we go,
I remember this.
yes. Yeah, I have a lot to say. Yeah, I have a lot to say about this one. I had to watch this one back a few times because I was like, how the fuck did we lose this? So, okay, first things first, when y'all start pushing, y'all push right side, which I actually love, and I assume it wasn't on purpose, because we didn't quite capitalize on what I wanted us to capitalize on, but regardless, we went right side, which is fine. What I want us to do here is I want AJ to come and take high ground. Because when you go right side and you definitively take this corner, right, they've already backed up to point. They did exactly what we did on the last fight, right? Like, their Rhine backed up and they did not aggress on us. So they gave us this whole rectangular path for free, which is awesome because it gives us options, okay? So what we need to do, A, is AJ needs to go on high ground. That's my first issue with this fight. AJ needs to take high ground. If we've already cleared out this right side, take high ground. I know Tracer's here, and she's kind of shooting y'all from the side. But I promise you, especially because she just used Pulse Bomb, Soldier should win that fight, right? He has the damage, he has the burst damage with Helix, and he has a heal. You should be able to push Tracer off of this high ground and take it for yourself, right? You have the resources for that. So that's the first thing that's the first issue I have with this. The second thing I'm going to talk about is ult usage and ult prioritization, all right? Execution, okay? Let's talk about Sig ult first. Okay, so we Sig ult the McCree in the back. We only get one. And we don't kill him. Let me tell you, he lives with like 1 health. It's crazy. But we don't kill him. And part of the reason for that is like we ult from so far away that like the rest of your team can't follow up on that, right? Like no one can shoot McCree because AJ... I don't even know. Oh, AJ's... Yeah, back here. He could shoot McCree. But we don't really have a lot of like sight lines on him, and everyone else is very close range, right? So if you're going to ult, especially a setup ult like Sig ult, Krav, Shatter, whatever, EMP, you want to make sure that your team is in a position to capitalize on it, right? So even like I'm fine with you solo ulting someone, I don't give a shit. There's a lot of times where we solo ult someone and we win that fight because we're just like taking them out of the game, right? So if you solo ulted this Rhine, for instance, like you're bringing Rhine down to half health, and that's big. Especially because like, you know, Anna's just like sitting in the back, like honestly not really looking at anything. Like the only person she can help back here is Zarya and McCree. So if you get Rhine down to half health, and then, you know, Jandras can just like go ham on him, we win that, right? Like, right, we at least, at the very least, kill Rhine, and that's a huge pick for us. So I think that's a little bit of execution, you know, understanding that you need follow-up for certain things, you know, and not ulting by yourself. Same thing is our tire. I mean, you're safe here, right, which is fine. But if you notice, like, we didn't watch it, but I'll show you the tire's path. But you go through this way, and then you come out this way, and then you decide, oh, I want to kill Rhine, and then you go this way, and it gets shot, right, and it dies. If you're going to go for Rhine or anyone, you should be here, right, on the right side, especially since you guys already cleared right side, so you know that your team's here, and they can, A, help you while you're immobile, but you're also going as quick as you can to the enemy. So if you wanted to focus Rhine, you could just bring it over the top, right, and kill him. But also, you have options, right? Like I said, options are great. You could come up here with the tire where literally no one else can see it. No one on the enemy can see this tire if you go this way, except for Tracer. And you can either solo ult Tracer, which again, I don't care, go for it. Or if you really wanted to, you can kind of come behind the back with it and like kill Ana real quick, right? Or maybe get like the Zarya with it or the McCree. I think that you could have made a play, and it was just like the route that you took with it. You definitely, like, you took it through the middle of point where it's, like, the easiest to kill, right? The big thing about Junkrat, and again, we noticed on, I think on City Center, you had this huge tire, and you were a little risky with it. You went around, like, the top, fucking crazy, and, you know, you went behind them, but it spooked them, and it happened so fast that they couldn't react. You don't want to give them time to react to these ults, right? So because of that... Go ahead, Kirby, yeah.
Can I interject? Okay, so have we told Strawberry the story about what happened here?
So
Is there a
here's
story?
what happened.
I didn't know there was a story.
Here's what happened. Yeah, we were saying we were gonna combo the tire with grav, as in gravitic flux.
Oh.
Uh-huh. I see. Where's Grav?
Oh dear God. What?
And then that's why I went for the three in the back, because those were the only people grouped up.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Because we were gonna combo it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's just awareness and clear comms. Obviously in this instance, yeah. Yeah, if in this instance, you would call it flex. I'm gonna have a really big issue talking. I need you to
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
please.
Who's like watching the stream out loud?
Ariana.
It's okay. Thank you. I can't hear myself think. Yeah, in that instance, you would call it flux. Obviously there's a big issue with calling it grav because, you know. Yeah.
I always see
I think that was me.
Yes, good, awesome. I'm glad that y'all already fixed that because yes, it should be called flex, so there is no confusion. But this fight makes a bit more sense now to me, because I was like, what the fuck is happening? So yes, that makes sense. So yeah, we obviously whiff our ults, which sucks. Poor Kirby gets solo grabbed in the corner. My God. AJ has also made his way over this way and tried to visor. And again, this is just awareness, guys, and understanding like where they play better and where you play better, right? If you're on the high ground here, if he's up there on the high ground, no one can get to you. No one on their team can get to you unless Tracer goes around. If you visor from the high ground right there, you win that shit. Hands down. Instead, we play where McCree likes to play, right? Like kind of middle close range. And, you know, well, that's what happens. Jandros comes in and saves Kirby, which is great. Here's the next thing I see. Okay. I'll give it a couple of seconds, but, you know, Kirby, I want you to find yourself for me. So what happened was, right, I know we lost AJ, okay, but their Tracer and their Rhine fell in the hole, okay? They both fell in the hole. I don't remember if they were booped or if they just fell. But both of them fell in the hole. And I know you just lost AJ, but this is the moment where people need to say, okay, two of them are down and quite literally cannot get back up to us for several seconds. Tracer can get up kind of quickly, but Ryan can't. So that is an opportunity, like I mentioned, where either our front line or Kirby as Lucio or literally any person needs to say, this is where we make something happen right now. Their Ryan's out of the fight, their Trace is out of the fight. I know we just lost AJ, but because of that, we're technically up one until they get back. So let's fucking make this happen. And I think Kirby, I think you saw that opportunity, which is why you went in, right? Like you wanted to make something happen here, and so you just went for it with your little frog body. The issue is that you went for it alone, right? So I don't know. Again, I can't hear y'all guys' comms. I don't know if it was said. I don't know if we're not listening. I think, you know, at times it's a little bit of both, right? Sometimes we don't say things, or sometimes we don't always hear it and respond to it, and that's a team effort, and we'll get better about that. But make sure that we're calling that definitively, whether it's Ryan or it's Lucio or whatever, and we need to say, here's our opportunity. Push hard. Take this Zarya out. Push on this Zarya right now, and everyone needs to go as a cohesive unit, because instead we had one frog alone on a mission and he got lasered down, and it was tragic, and the rest of our team is just sitting here like not doing anything. they're,
I do
we're just
think
kind
I
of passive.
might have mentioned that, like, oh, we could maybe push on the Zarya, but I will say I probably got pretty tunnel visioned there. I should have made sure the team was with me.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a little bit of both. And again, like, I try to understand you guys' side of things and just, like, let's just tweak some stuff. But I really want to see you guys working better as a unit and capitalizing on your advantages. Again, you're a brawly comp. You guys just go in hard and just swing. Whenever you have an opportunity, and it'll take some time to get used to it, to get used to recognizing opportunities quickly and then capitalizing on it quickly, and it's going to take some time. But if everyone's on the same page and people are speaking up and making those calls, we just got to trust that. We just got to trust those calls and just go in, especially when you're already down someone. Like, that means that the fight quite possibly is obviously losable, and so y'all have to make shit happen, because if you lose a second person, it's over, right? So, I mean, a lot of times people will back out if they've lost someone, but if you're already mid-fight like you are, and you've lost someone, just fucking go for it, Pick someone, go in hard, find that opportunity, and make shit happen. Instead, obviously, we're passive until Ryan gets back, and now, Ryan's here. It's a good shatter. It's a tragic pin. And then they just use ults to clean up. So we used 5 ults that fight, guys. We used 5, and we lost it, and that's just devastating to me. So I mean, a lot of it, obviously was misuse of comms, execution. It really seemed like we were trying to make individual plays, rather than working together as a team, and that's going to be your downfall if you're playing Brawl, because you guys are stronger as a unit. Oh, this fight. Okay. I'm gonna pick on Ariana a little bit this fight. I know! So, I will say, I don't blame AJ for this. He's very far into our backline, but AJ apparently, he died last when I rewatched it, so he just got here. Regardless, like, obviously, if we're gonna have someone flanking, it should probably be Tracer. Tracer, generally, I would say, would start this way. If you're gonna peel AJ, that's totally fine. I know you just got here, so I'm not mad, and you're just, focusing on who's in front of you. That's totally fine. Just as, kind of a forethought of how you would want to take this fight, going into this, I would probably head, along one of these side routes, right? Again, I always stress high ground, because you can, even if it's Tracer, you can see what they have and where they're standing, right? And you can kind of plan your attack a little bit, whether you want to push super hard with blinks and jump on the McCree or the Honor or the Mercy and then recall back or something, or again, maybe you come over here and the McCree and their Honor is playing in the back line, and you can start buzzing them, and then they have to turn around, right? Again, creating those off angles, forcing them to turn away from the front line, so that's what you want to do going into this fight. The unfortunate part of this fight, Ariana, is, again, that, you took a long flank, and then you used Wraith, to kind of get yourself, closer, which, means that you don't have that cooldown, and that's really, your safety cooldown, Fade, right, with Moira, and you never really want to use it to engage. And so, with the Reaper, what I would do is I would stay with my team starting off. Obviously, Reaper is in that weird kind of middle ground where he's a frontline brawler but also a flanker. But that just means that his kit is more aggressive for flanking. So I would start here, right, with your Rhine, and just kind of push with them, and start hammering shield, focusing on when they start pushing choke. Maybe you can kind of come over here in this mini and start shooting their Rhine from the side, so he's kind of looking at you or whatever. And then once this fight starts kicking off, then you can flank, right? And you can use teleport, which is a great flanking tool for aggressive flanks. And you can flank on the high ground up there, or behind them maybe, and then just take someone out real quick. But yeah, you took a really long flank, and you also didn't have that cooldown, and obviously what happened. You knew it was a mistake. It's fine. Yeah, but I just wanted to let you know what I think you could have done differently, right? Just in terms of pathing. So yeah, we lose Ariana early, and then they Valk, which is great. I mean, it was a good Valk because they realized we're down 1, and now they can just damage and push through us. So they capitalized on that opportunity, right? Understanding that one of our players was vulnerable, and then they just really made an effort for it. Um, Here's a little bit of an execution thing. I know that it's OT and everyone's stressing, and I get that. I get that everyone's going to stress in OT. AJ gets a great pick on McCree with Pulse Bomb, which is awesome, but he's really concerned about touching here, and so he panics and he stays on with half health. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know all the technicalities of this game, but I believe if you're on the point, like in the last, I don't know, 2-3 seconds. Yeah. I believe if you're on the point, those last 3%, even if you don't touch it as overtime starts, overtime will actually still trigger. So you don't have to be touching it. Yeah, you don't have to be touching it at 99. So AJ was obviously very concerned there and wanted to be, that guy that touched for us. And so he stayed on and he died because of it. Where he could have gotten that pick and ran to the mini real quick, right? Or he could have gotten the pick and tried to maybe pressure the res. I probably would have gone for the mini since he was low and already used recall. But either way, the issue there with you, AJ, was you just tried to stay on point a little bit too long, and that's just kind of a misunderstanding of how the game works, and how OT triggers. But I appreciate the effort nonetheless. The second thing is, because again we're trying to touch point. We're again trying to force it. We're trying to really pressure it, and we're not thinking about what they have, right? They're going to have ults here, and they have 3 very important ults here that are reliant on D.Va being in mech. It means that, we have to be ult tracking, and we have to know they have Grav, they have High Noon, and they have Pulse Bomb. And those 3 are a deadly fucking combo, and even if you can't eat Grav or you can't eat, whatever, you still gotta try and you gotta pressure them, because you just being in mech, pressures them and, means they can't get those off. But because we're pressuring it so hard and trying to stop this res and we're trying to get in here, we kind of set ourselves up a little bit. Poor Mantis gets slept and charged and just instantly terrorized, and it was just a sad thing to see. So yeah, we got a baby D.Va over here. We all get graved. At this point though, this is for both tanks, obviously. If Mantis still had mech, he'd still, even if you miss Grav, and I say this as a D.Va player, even if you don't grab Grav, you need to know what they're going to combo with it, because usually it's a combo, right? And it's going to be Pulse Bomb. I know you don't have mech right here, but if you did, you need to be looking for Tracer, right? Because she's going to try to get that combo off on you, and that's what kills you guys. So you got to be looking for that. Same thing, Jandros with shield. Obviously she can blink into it and still stick you guys anyway, but sometimes they fuck it up, right? And right here, if you had shielded this left side, I think that you would have blocked it. Instead, you're kind of focusing the Zarya, right? Because you're worried about that damage, and we're not thinking about the ult, right? And the ult's what kills us, So just flicking the shield real quick and focusing her a little bit, I think what, again, might have saved someone, right? And then the rest of it is we're low, and they have ults, and they just take this. So... Anyway, it was a good effort, guys. That's basically first round and everything I noticed from it, in a general sense. If you have any questions, now is the time, and I'll pause it going into the second one. So feel free to speak up now if you have any comments, questions, or concerns. Otherwise, I will keep going. Sounds good. Okay, let me skip this. This is, gardens. Okay. So, first things first, can anyone guess what I'm gonna say about what we should do in terms of positioning here? What rotation y'all take, who should stand where. You don't have to come up with the whole team, but, where should we go? Because I know where you guys go, and I won't say it yet, but...
High ground.
High ground, uh-huh. Okay. Mm-hmm. The left. We are red. So, yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. for sure. Yeah. We do win this one. Somehow. Okay, so the first thing that I'll say before we actually get into the positions that we take is, and I know we win this one, and I think, again, I mean, they do win overall, but I think that a better team would have won this, just because of their comp. But we're running Brawl, and we have Mercy Brig. I hate that. I do. I absolutely hate that. It doesn't make sense to me. The only reason you'd run a Mercy here is obviously to pocket the Soldier, and if you're gonna do that, that's fine, but then you'd need to have, like, a BAP, or an Ana, or a Moira, a stronger healer than Brig, because that healer is going to have to take literally the rest of their team on their shoulders, and Brig just can't do that by herself. Now, if you want to run Brig, right, for like the Tracer, that Brawl potential, that's perfectly fine as well. And we would run again, like, instead of Mercy, we would run like an Ana or a BAP or a Moira. So I have an issue with y'all's comp, mainly. Second thing is, yeah, we come main, which is fine. A lot of people come main. But you see, like, we're literally all here. When I say you guys play together, I don't mean play in a clump. I mean I mean play near each other and back each other up. Like, you can play with each other, but not be on top of each other. That's especially important for just our squishies, obviously. Like, clearly Ryan and Zarya should be, like, pretty near each other. Brig should be a little bit between the tanks and the other support, depending on who the support is. Not frontlining. And Junkrat and Soldier, I hate both of this. My first issue is with AJ, and I have a couple of things that I think AJ could do here, and it's literally what Ariana said, but also for what she said about Junkrat. Because I was looking at this, and I think that both Junkrat and Soldier could take this high ground, right? Like, Junkrat could very easily play over them. And spam down onto them, and just, instead of breaking shield, you're literally doing flesh damage. That sounds so gross, but you're literally, like, you're HP, I guess is what I should say. But, you know, you're literally, like, just over them, and you're just, like, doing damage. I think that's a fine spot for Junkrat. Obviously, AJ as well as Soldier could, like, be up here, and he still has, like, a lot of good sight lines. And then, yes, I do think that someone should probably be, like, out. If we're gonna go this way, someone should be, like, more out here, so that they can take that off angle A. They can help Zarya, like, spook Rusha a little bit. Again, I love that Mantis is already, like, looking for Tracer here, and keeping her away. You know, I love that you're aware of that. And again, like, whether it's Soldier or Junkrat, it just depends on, like, y'all's comfortability and who's doing what. But either Soldier or Junkrat could obviously play, like, this area, right? And, you know, come at them from the back. I'm fine with either. Like, Soldier is able to play here because he has the legs, right? So if he does get pushed, he can just run, and, you know, and he can just kind of sit behind them. But Junkrat also can do that. So it really just depends. But yes, someone should be on high ground. One of you two. And that's about it. Someone should be on high ground. So if we want to go to high ground first, like if we want to go inside first and then go up to high ground to make sure, right, to make sure we get it, that's fine. If we want to push main, right, our tanks, that's fine too. It really just depends. But you got to have someone on high ground. Also, when you do have a soldier or anyone in general, like you need to understand, and this is not just an AJ thing, this is everyone. You need to pick fights where your team can take advantage of the sight lines. So when you have a hit scan, you want to play and push the enemy into areas that, like, your soldier, for instance, can take advantage of that, right? So if he's on high ground, like, you know, you guys obviously want to push them, you know, back on this side, right? Or, you know, push them here a little bit. Same thing, like, if you're defending, I'll say this later, but, like, you know, there's times where obviously you are defending, you know, here, and, you know, sometimes you want to let the Rhine in a little bit, so, like, soldier can really capitalize on, like, the people behind them. So anyway, you notice, like, and I always say this for squishies, like, if you're playing behind your tanks and you're playing up your tank's ass, I know that Ryan has a great ass, believe me, I look at it all the time. But if you're playing up your Ryan's ass as a squishy, you're taking the damage that your Ryan is taking, and that should not happen. especially as a support, I'll say. Like, you don't want to be taking the same damage that your Rhine's taking or your Zarya's taking or whoever your tank is, because you have less health, right? And so if you're taking the same damage, like, you're just going to get blown up. And we're all playing so close. It just really concerns me. Um, yeah, absolutely. Hmm. Yeah, they're hitting everyone. Hmm. Yep. That's why he has more ult charge right now. Hmm. Yep. I think she was done. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. That the focus is there. Hmm. Yes, I completely agree. So I think that and that's why we're talking about this now. So because I'm fine with the call out, like, group up, stay together, stay close. I'm fine with that. I just want everyone going forward, especially if you're squishy, to understand that doesn't mean like you can't take off angles. That doesn't mean that you can't play a little bit back. That just means, that we're trying to, like, get the focus in on obviously following up with our Rhine, because that's how you play Brawl, right? Is that you just follow up with your Rhine. Like, so you want to be in a position where you can do that, but not taking damage. And that's just something that as individuals we need to understand our role and where we need to play to accomplish that. Exactly. Like, sure, sure, and that goes along with peeling as well. And that wasn't much of an issue in this round, but just in general, like, I see a lot of times, obviously teams will struggle with peeling, right? Because people come in, they're getting pressured from all angles, and it's hard. I get that peeling is hard, but it's both the rest of the teams. Job to help peel, but it's also on the supports as well to play in a position where they're close enough to get help. So again, like, you want to play away from your Rhine a little bit, but you want to play close enough that your team can get to you if you need help, right? So it very much is a middle ground. Like, for instance, as Ana, like, if we were playing Ana here and they have a tracer, whenever they have a flanker, like as Ana, you want to play a little bit closer to your team, right? So you're not picked as easily, but obviously still far enough away that they can't, like, cleave into you, right? So it's just a give and a take. And as we get more used to it and more comfortable with this, and we start recognizing, our roles a little bit better, we'll position ourselves a bit more. But this is the start of that conversation, guys, and that's what I want. That's what I want to see from you guys, like, supports DPS going forward. My squishies is, again, you can play with your Rhine, but not be on top of him. Even if you're on this high ground here, like if Soldier and Mercy, for instance, took this high ground in this fight, you're still with your Rhine, right? Like, you can still pressure their Rhine. Like, if for whatever reason we're focusing Rhine right now, you can still focus their Rein with your Rein and Zarya from high ground, right? You're still together, and Mercy can still heal you, and if Brig needs to heal you, you can still come over there. If Mercy needs to heal, like, someone right here, she can still see them from the high ground, right? And that's why, like, Goat right here is taking the high ground, which I love. This is great for Goat, because no one can touch Goat right now. Like, literally, like, the fucking McCree, obviously, which I think he is shooting Goat. The McCree obviously can see you, so you need to be careful of that. But, like, no one can get up to you unless they take a long flank. So, you know, take high ground. High ground in tier 3 is really not utilized very much at all, and that means that they're not using high ground either. So if you guys can start, like, utilizing these angles more that the enemy team isn't, you're going to win, because they don't know what to do about it. So, especially on Koth, but just in general, your positioning is so important. It's one of the most important things, and that's why I stress it so much, because positioning is what wins these fights, especially on Koth. The first, and I did write this, I did mention this in the little Koth write-up that I sent you guys. Hopefully y'all read it. But the first fight is the most important fight of any Koth round. I think I've seen the statistic, and I'm just pulling the number out of my ass because I don't have it right now, but I'm pretty sure there are statistics out there that say, like, 70% of the time, whoever takes point first wins that round. And you're all starting on equal footing, right? Like, whenever you all get to this point, no one has more ult charge than the other. You sheerly win those fights based off of, obviously, like, popping off and positioning. And you can't always rely on popping off, right? So my goal here is to get you guys to put yourselves in better positions and utilize the map better and utilize your heroes better so that you can be more consistent on these maps and not have to rely on chance, okay? So, anyway, going into it, like, we get a great pick on Tracer, right? We're very aware of the Tracer, which I love. A lot of people struggle with Tracer, but we're really doing a good job about peeling her back, so I love that. However, like, you notice where, like, our junk and our brig are, like, around this corner. So, again, Rein is just cleaving for free and just doing, like, a crazy amount of damage right now. Brig, you should not die there. Zarya just kind of got fucked. And then we killed the Mercy, which is good. Chandras, I've already talked to you about that, but my Rhines in general, you know, if you're that low, I know that, like, the fight's still a little scrappy. Just give your supports time to heal you, right? Supports, so obviously, like, our Rhine, our tanks, whoever needs to be aware of their healing to an extent, but also they're focusing on a lot. So this also, for me, as a support player, you need to be communicating with your team. If you're not doing that, you need to step up and you need to be vocal. And you need to say, Ryan, you're super low, hold shield, back up. Whenever I play with you guys, you know, during, like, tier 3 practices and I join or whatever and I'm playing support, like, that's why I'm so vocal and I try to lead you guys. It's not because, like, I don't trust you. It's not because, you know, I don't trust y'all to lead or to push or whatever. It's because I think that supports have a very important role in the game beyond healing. And it's because, like, typically, like, supports, their mechanics are, it's a little bit less stressful. Obviously, like, Ana requires a lot of mechanical skill, but more so it's about awareness, and you really have a lot of opportunity as a support to be vocal, and to help instruct your team a little bit better. That's why, like, usually shot callers on a team will be Lucio's or Zenyatta's or something, because they see everything. They can see everything that's happening, and they can kind of lead the fight better. So even if you're a main support, if you notice your Rhine's in trouble, just tell him. Just say, hey, move back a little bit, play passive, let me heal you, you know, say things like that. And then whenever he's good, whenever he's ready, call that. You know, I just want us to be on the same page and be active in those calls, right? Anyway. We do pop off. Awesome. I'm glad we popped off, right? We won this. I believe we killed the Ana too. We don't. Okay. But we do win the fight, which is great. But we lost a lot of people. That fight was super scrappy, right? And it can be less scrappy, right? And more consistent going forward. On the bright side, Soldier and Mercy are now on high ground, which I love. Ariana, I will say this is a very risky tire. It pays off. I'm glad. The bright side about that one is that you pulled it quick, right? And you just got to pick with it, which is awesome. Oof. It's unfortunate. Okay, we've talked about this one, Jondros, but I'll bring it up again for our tanks as well. We get a good block on Shatter, great block on Shatter. We also, at the same time, Visor, right? So this comes back to, again, playing within light of sight of our allies so that they can get them, like, the best value, okay? So John just did a really good job here of blocking the Shatter, right, and just, like, kind of keeping them at bay. But the mistake that he makes is, like, his team is right here, right, on this right side, and soldiers up on high ground. The mistake that he makes is he puts himself on the left and lets them push him left where no one can help him, right? It's an unfortunate Shatter, but my main issue is with the positioning, because, like, we put ourselves in this weird position where they can just flank us and they can just pepper us down, right? So if I really think that if our Ryan had just kind of come back here, you know, toward our team and let, like, Brig and Mercy heal him, and, you know, A, not only would our healers be able to see him, but B, to push him, to push him, right, they'd have to go into the Visor, right? Which they don't want to do. And also, even if we didn't have Visor, they'd have to push into the rest of our team to get that kill off of Rhine. So again, just in general, come back to your team, guys. Let your team support you, right? Play within, like, sight lines, and just capitalize on the positions that we have. Okay, so we do Valk. I honestly haven't decided if I like this Valk or not. I think because we have point, and even though we're down 2, it's an okay Valk. I don't know if I would have actually used it, since they're also Valking and using Nano. But we do try to Valk to just kind of, like, keep ourselves alive. The issue that I think that we make, Go, is that you try to res instead of helping Zarya, right? Zarya had high charge, Zarya was in there, and really what I'll say for Mercies is, you know, if you're Valking, before you res, make sure that everyone else is good, you know? Make sure that they don't need you for those couple seconds it takes to res, right? Because otherwise we just lose someone else while you're resing, and then all you've done is kind of, like, you've just kind of ulted just to keep things even when we're already down, and we're not, like, gaining anything from that. Okay, they have craft dragons here. It's not craft dragons. Craft pulls. They fuck it up. Oh yeah, this one was so unfortunate. Yeah, Ryan misses his charge into our backline and then gets a shatter on us. I'm honestly gonna say that one was just kind of, like, dumb luck. Because the Ryan shouldn't have missed, and he shouldn't have lived in our backline, and he had shatter, and he just, you know, he just made something work out of a bad situation. It was a good call on his part after a mistake, right? But we have point, which is good. Again, we're on the high ground, which is awesome. We're holding in that right room, which I like, especially because we have Junkrat. And we ult early, right? I really like this. I like how we played this, because we had ults, and they had a couple of ults too, right? And we ulted early, and I'll back that up so we can see, like, the individual things that happened. I always say this, like, especially when the enemy also has ults, and, you know, we're just defending and we only have a few seconds left. Ult early, right? Don't let them dictate the fight and have a chance to get a pick on you. Just take someone out quick, right? Be aggressive. I honestly would say even that you guys could have probably, you know, fought off of point. Because again, just like the other time when we backed up, you guys are kind of backed here. I know you're holding the side path, which is fine, and you do kind of come around and collapse on them up front. So I think that you guys did fine. But in general, especially on defense and on, like, payload maps, hold up, right? Like, pressure them first, especially in OT, when it's about to be OT, because they have to touch, right? So if you can like dick around in their backline and like get an ult off or just pressure them, they can't really afford to fight you. Like you get away with so much in OT because they can't afford to fight you. They have to touch point. So I would like to see you guys play a little bit closer here. We just kind of like let them pick which side they want to go, but it's fine. So again, Mantis comes over here and solo ults McCree. I absolutely love it. Again, it takes McCree out of the fight, and it takes Mercy out of the fight because she has to worry about McCree. I think this is a great pick. And she does res him, but by the time that happens, like, we're already collapsing on Rhine, right, over there, and it doesn't matter. You know, and they can't touch. So, again, we used ults super early. We didn't use Shatter and we didn't use Valk. Use those ults, right? Solo ult someone. I don't care. Make it happen. You know, win the fight before they touch point. Whether it's being aggressive, using an ult, whatever. You guys nailed it. Again, just, you know, want to make sure that we're doing more of that in the future. Okay, we'll watch this one as well. This one was close. Yeah. 4. For what? Okay, take a bathroom break, guys. 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes. That's how many you have. If anyone has any questions right now, now's the time.
I swear to God I hate this controller. This controller said unspeakable when I got on my mic.